Apologize.
All good.
No problem. We have quorum.
Glad to have you.
Thank you.
All right, so we can move on to number 3 in our agenda, which is Executive Director's Report. Please let the record show that we do have John Spears, who's visiting us virtually. And we also have Chief of Staff and Swan Camp visiting virtually as well.
You didn't make a decision for that.
No, well,
Oh, you're in. All right. So I'll start, Matt, and then we'll go into your report because I want to give them good news. Sorry. So we do have some really good updates that we'll start with. So we met with the city of Buffalo yesterday, and that meeting went very well. We are close to working out an agreement and moving forward. And
Who was in the meeting?
who was in the meeting?
Yeah. From the city.
From the city, John Heffron, Daryl Springer, Nate Martin, and Tom Terrapacki. On our side was myself, Thomas, Ben, Swanacamp, Matt, and our 2 attorneys, Bob and Andrew. And it went very well, and it looks like we'll be moving forward without a license fee. Yeah, and they wanted, there's some things that we needed to clarify, and we're clarifying those things, and hopefully working towards potential future funding to help them with specific zip codes and things. So I anticipate that could almost be signed in the next few weeks. I say that thinking, I think last May I said we should have this wrapped up in
Right.
a few months. Here we are a year later, but
Does the council have to?
Sorry.
No. It doesn't seem so, although that question did not come up, but in the license agreement, as it was rewritten, it seemed to be at the discretion of the commissioner, so Nate Martin. So we should clarify that, but I'm pretty confident it's a no. Yeah. So anyway, that's good news number 1. If we move on to the Connect All update, it says here that April 22nd, the MIP grant announcement date. We actually found out yesterday that we did get a conditional award. Yeah.
Wow.
We were supposed to find out Friday, and we had heard that some of the other applicants had received conditional letters. And they, Mark Meyerhofer texted me yesterday morning, did you get something? I said, no. So then I started to get nervous, and I get a call late morning from Connect All asking if I received an email on Friday. And I said, no. Because they had gotten one bounce back on Monday morning. So for some reason, they didn't put in the right address, but we got it yesterday. It's conditional, so the award is not guaranteed, but we have a series of questions that we're going to have to answer. We had a deadline of 7 days. You can request an extension until April 26th, which we have. It's an extensive list of questions that we'll have to answer, but nothing that we can't answer that we feel confident in the application that we put in. And so yesterday was like a plus 27 million day, is the way I look at it. It was a potential of $5 million for license fee plus a potential of $22 million grant. So
Is it conditional for the entire thing that we requested?
Yeah, it's just a conditional
It's just
award.
conditional.
And the other
Great.
applicants, they got conditional award. It's the same thing.
Huh.
It just means we're still in the hunt,
Right.
and we have their attention. They have questions. We're going to answer them. We ask for a little extra time because they're asking pointed questions about ISP involvement, which we have a good reply for that. But
Sort of good
we
position
need
for those questions.
the
Okay.
ISPs to be in writing with us on that. It takes a little time to coordinate.
Yeah. It was a really good day for ErieNet yesterday. Long, marathon-ish, but very good day. Yeah, so that was our early birthday present. So also ECC is finishing up the Connect All BEAD grant. That was basically the FCC challenge grant that we agreed to participate in. Most of their work has been submitted. Poor Jason got the brunt of some of those emails, as did everybody. What ended up happening is,
47.
yeah, well, there were actually a lot more than that, but we it allowed us to reach out again to the municipalities. We asked those that we felt could challenge some of their anchor sites to possibly be included in the FCC data as community anchor institutions. We gave them the option to participate in this challenge, but more importantly, gave us another opportunity to reach out to the municipalities again, update them on that we were waiting to hear for this grant application on their behalf, and give them the opportunity to participate if they want to. I don't believe any of them did, but anyone that we invited to be on our team, I don't remember how many municipalities that was, anytime we submitted, which we submitted around 115, 20 challenges, everybody on that team got that submittal. So all of the municipal leaders, myself, anyone from ECC were receiving just connect all. So we halted that, and Connect All ended up ultimately coming up with a solution, and then we were in the middle of us resubmitting, and let the communities know how they could opt out of that. So that's almost done. We were also invited to a meeting with Connect All. They are interested in partnering ErieNet with internet service providers through the affordable housing program. So we didn't specifically submit an application for that Connect All app for the affordable housing program. But they're hoping that we would be interested in working with internet service providers who are interested or who have applied to work with that funding, and that ErieNet can provide the middle mile for that as well. So
our Connect All did include nearly 11 miles to connect every one of the municipal housing authority properties. So there'll be a connection, and then we have identified some ISPs that would actually manage all the apartments, that provide service.
Yes. Yeah. So that's good news. And then kind of in a similar manner with the internet service providers, is we can't really discuss a lot of it and who they are specifically, but we have had a much larger interest in internet service providers contacting ErieNet. I'm assuming because they're working on their grant application for the Connect Alls, or realizing the opportunities that a middle mile open access network can bring to their needs, as well as to potential funding for them. And so those conversations over the last month have really ticked up, and that's good news all around, not only for our own application, but kind of what our vision is for the second phase of our project, which is connecting to businesses and residents. And so this has been a good month for ErieNet in general. And then we can come back to we'll just do it now so Matt, we don't interrupt you. The other thing is I appreciate everyone doing your surveys. We got a very nice response from participating in the annual meeting survey. The reason I did that is obviously it was our first one. And I wanted to make sure that the expectations were met by the board. And if there was anything that you wanted to see different, of course, we have a whole year to plan for that. I think everybody overall was very happy with it. We didn't really discuss it last meeting just because we were just coming off of it, and of course, going into a much longer meeting as well. So this is kind of just an open discussion. If anybody wants to see anything different, if they felt we could step up the game, did we feel that we invited the appropriate people? I mean, we really invited all of our anyone we work with on a daily basis, but we also invited the municipalities, all of our legislative electeds as well. I wish that more of Erie County legislators, that they had expressed interest in being participating in some of those meetings. But overall, we had some good representation. Senator Gallivan's office was there, I believe. Senator Gillibrand's office was there. Off the top of my head, there were a couple supervisors there. Also, the town of Amherst was represented by their legislative liaison as well. So we had some good representation from around the county. But is there anything else that anyone else wanted to see, or any comments they wanted to add?
I'll just add that there's a lot of work that goes into ErieNet from its inception, and we don't do a lot of celebrating of the great work that has been done thus far. and we don't celebrate openly or publicly. And I think it was a good way to both show and put on display the work that you guys have done and we've done, and to tout, all of the energy that's gone into it, and couple that with, a minor celebration with, some nice cookies as well.
Which that's a nice comment.
Those cookies are never gonna go in. So I think it was important for us to do that because we most of the time have our heads down, trying to get this done. But I think it's also important to celebrate the wins, if only for a moment. And even in our celebrating, we were displaying the work via this robust annual report that we put together. So that's all.
The media coverage was fantastic.
Nate's always done that.
Yeah, I mean, we were covered on almost, I think, every major station. I'm trying to think, radios picked us up, NPR we were on. I mean, it was, we got really good coverage, which was important and timely. Because the next, we have some really positive media opportunities coming up. Potentially this announcement, when hopefully they take that conditional off of the award.
Any idea on the timeline?
We think quickly. Only because they didn't give us a timeline. They wanted the responses quickly, and because we're always working on a timeline, and it just keeps getting shorter. Obviously, it's ARPA funding. So we imagined it'll be quite quickly. We were happy to see it came out earlier. We were worried about it coming out later. There was some legislative one budget bill language that was worrisome that has been removed. That could have affected this MIP grant in general for the state. So it's not there, and it wasn't. And so we were worried that might delay, but in fact, we ended up getting it about a week early. So hopefully we will know by next month's meeting. And we'd like to do some media around that. And then, of course, in June or July, we're going to do some sort of media surrounding with our hard hats and being out at the construction zone showing the fiber going up. But those are three, knock on wood, I guess I can't control any negative things that may happen, but we should have some pretty positive press coming forward as well.
Not to mention, we were mentioned in the Buffalo News today or yesterday.
Oh, really?
Editorial.
Yeah, so there was an editorial today.
I missed that.
Yeah, but I think it's important that we are driving our own message, and that is part and parcel why it's important for us to do these events and make sure that we're propelling our own message here, because people are looking forward to what we're doing. So,
Yeah.
So it was a positive editorial. Yeah. What spurred it?
it was a review of what to expect from the state of the county.
Oh, yeah.
So
I didn't know we were in that, but I heard about
the EP has like every.
Yes. Good.
Yeah, no, I would say that the annual meeting was more of an event than I anticipated, and I think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Certainly, some of these meetings can, be a little dry and stuffy, so to speak, and that gave an opportunity to sort of, publicly explain like the mission of this project. And, we're still sort of in that infancy where it's more, there isn't a lot tangible really yet to be able to show. So that gave a ready-made opportunity, and I thought it came off really well.
Oh, great. Thanks.
And I don't believe I responded to the survey, because now as you're saying that, I'm just like, I think I saw that.
All right, we're keeping
We
track.
expected toast.
You're the only one. Yeah.
He was excused if he didn't. No one responded for their bios, except for legislator Mills. And Mars, well, we requested yours and used them, but, and you did as well, yeah. Thomas didn't. I'm just bringing that up.
That's a big.
No, he said, you need to get this, and I said, at this point, no, we're not doing it. But next, and Mike needs to, you need to change your pictures. But, yeah. Yeah. Can't make fun of him, he's not here. Okay, and that, so Matt, did you wanna present?
Oh, sure.
I know I stole some of the clips on here.
Under spirit of Mr. Cornell's dry and stuffy.
We'll play music in between sections, I
It's
get it.
important stuff, but it's hard to connect to the average person on why this project is important and what those benchmarks are.
No, I agree.
So a quick update on each of our contracts with ECC Technologies, the design and construction management, the design portion of that. Just so you're aware that the through-way conduit agreement is going well. As a formality, the Office of State Controller has to review and sign off on it. And when that review comes back, then the throughway can complete the contract signatures. We've already signed our part of the contract. They have to countersign when that OSC comes. And then when they do that countersigned signature, that date of the signature then starts a 30-day window for us to accept the conduit. So that's when we're going to release our contractor, and if we should find the conduits unserviceable, then certainly we don't want to pay for it. So that's moving forward. Mike, the POP project has stalled.
Yeah, that's mainly because they had to reapply the fire suppression material on the infrastructure within the building, and then they have to wait 30 days to test that.
Well, that's not what I'm talking about. That actually gives me some cover.
Yeah, so, but no one really wants to start working again until that test
Oh,
is
sure.
done. So it's been a slug, and then there, of course, the HVAC people are missing a part that should come in. They were hoping this week, that's holding up the implementation of all the plumbing, so to speak. For the
How many
HVAC.
days are you in the 30-day window?
I would say we're probably about 2 weeks in.
Yeah.
So
Actually, we'll use that pause. We can't even get off the starting line here till we get an agreement between Erie County and ErieNet for the use of the POP room. It's a formality, but it seems to have gotten installed in Mr. Stanton's office.
Yeah, that's my office.
And we could get some help just to get some movement on that.
Yeah. Where was it? I know I know he was working on
Yeah,
it,
and
so.
so we left it last. I gave him what I thought, and Mike reviewed it.
yeah. and
What the
that's some verbiage.
benefits, what are the benefits to the county by having ErieNet co-locate?
Mhm.
So I think that he was using that to substantiate the, whatever it is, the memo of understanding or the agreement. But I can't get our contractor under contract if we don't have a contract for the room.
Okay.
And I have an 8-week lead time on equipment, which we can't order till we have a contract. So when this 2-week pause comes, I'd love to have the contract in place.
Okay.
And, right.
Yeah, because
A little bit of
once
schedule back.
the pause is over, it's still gonna take them probably a month to finish.
And that's fine because, we don't need the room yet.
Right.
Right, but just these legal items sometimes take a while to sort out, so. Just wanted to bring that to Jeremy and Mike's attention. The Erie County new poll survey, we've issued an RFP, if you recall. Erie County added to their permit policies that if you were replacing or placing a new pole, you needed your drawing stamped by an engineer. We had an engineering firm, DDS, but the quantity of work, we felt we needed to go back out for RFP to make sure we're getting best pricing. That RFP was released last week. And it's due, the 29th, the proposals are due. So we're trying to get that in order for a May resolution.
Have we gotten any responses?
Well, it's too soon yet.
Oh,
We've delivered the proposal out to
oh, I see. Okay.
It's the responses to the 29th. We have had some
do the
questions.
29th.
Oh, do the 20th.
Do the
Yeah, do
29th
the
of
29th, so that we can
April.
do the approval in May.
In the meantime, we did authorize, the board authorized that we allow DDS to keep moving forward and do 50 of the first drawings for us. And they're moving ahead with that. So
What's the current count of poles that are gonna be required this process?
Erie County, so how many new Erie County poles are there?
200.
And
Is it 215, isn't it? 215, sound right?
240?
It keeps going up as we
It
move
Right.
into other
Right.
areas. Yeah, it's a lot. It was
Poles
enough
per
for us to go
drawing,
out for a
and
different price.
There are gonna be a couple hundred.
And the reason, we wanted GDS to continue on, so we didn't pause, but they are pricey. And we're hopeful that this RFP will drive down the cost of that. 'Cause I think it was like $800 a stamp.
Will
Not
they-
necessarily
I
a
assume
pole.
DDS will respond.
I'm
Yeah.
assuming they will, yeah.
Okay.
But we're hoping, and from what we have gathered through some of our partners, such as the county, they're at a much lower, they had provided stamps at a much lower cost, so keep your fingers crossed.
And I think you were about to say it's not per pole, because some poles
It's
can be
not
done
per
on the
pole,
same
it's per
drawing.
stamp,
Right.
yep.
Per drawing.
Yeah.
One drawing could have anywhere from 1 to 4 poles.
Right, but when you say 240, that's the number of poles, not necessarily the number of drawings.
Not necessarily.
Got it. Thank you.
So that RFP is out. There's a construction RFP, and this is rather specialized construction on the Elk Street and Niagara Street bridges. And so again, those proposals are due on the 29th of April as well. Elk Street crosses a railroad yard, and Niagara crosses, I'm sure what's under the Niagara Street Bridge. I think it's might be the Skidjack Highway. But
Could be.
it's not railroad. Oh, it's a river. It's a river.
Is it?
Is Skidjack one a river?
There's a Skidjack,
Yeah,
right?
Very
Yeah,
visible.
there's also the Skidjack over the 198. People call it
The
the
highway,
Skidjack.
yeah. It's a water crossing. Bridge. Let's see. City of Buffalo, we talked about. Make ready, one of our authorizations today is to increase the authorized funds for NICEAG Make Ready by an additional 2.8 or 2,805,000. Of that 2,805,000, we think approximately 1 million will be returned. That's NICEAG's responsibility to pay. If you recall, NICEAG makes us pay first, and then we get reimbursed for work that's their scope. And so that's what the authorization is to add an additional 2.8, and that work would be spread out across the 6 NICEAG qualified make-ready contractors that we already have under contract. When we first estimated the make-ready, we knew it was an estimate, and we knew we'd have to come back and ask for more. But really what's driving this is, like everything else, the inflationary pressures, the fact that we're enforcing prevailing wage. When we did the original business plan, it wasn't our intention to enforce prevailing wage, but county policy, state policy is we need to, so we are, but that's inflated some of our costs. And the conditions of the poles. When we did the estimates, we had poles that were light, medium, and heavy make ready. And the proportion of that, we didn't have as accurate as I wished it had been. There's a lot more heavy make ready poles than light. And so just each.
What drives that decision?
The heavy, it's just how much work you have to do to make room for ErieNet on that pole. The worst case is you have to replace the pole.
Right.
And that's $50,000 to $100,000. Mr. Zukoff is very proud of the fact that it's held that to less than I don't know what his exact number is, but it's a few percentage points of the total number. So, but it's a significant overage, and so we need authorization. We haven't spent any of this money, by the way. The bills are coming due later in May, and then more in June, and more in July and August. But we wanted you to see it coming and get authorized for the additional expense. So that's a resolution for today. Likewise, we've kind of worked through the log jam with grid, and we're getting back our grid make-ready surveys. When we get those surveys back from grid's engineers, that tells us the work that has to be done. That gives us the scope to give to the make-ready contractors. We put the first segment of poles out for RFQ, request for quotation. If you recall, we did the same process with NYSEG. We got quotes back from the grid qualified contractors, and there's overlap with the NYSEG qualified contractors. And so two things. One, back in August of 23, we had estimated the make-ready work for grid at 2.655 million. We still think that's a good number. In fact, we're hopeful that that's a conservatively high number. Grid does not reimburse. Grid pays for their own work up front, which is actually a good thing, although the NYSEG model actually worked to our advantage.
Yes, it did.
So 2.8 extra required for NYSEG, 2.655 million for grid make ready. And there's a little chart on the next page. These were who, I think there were 9 contractors that we went out for, and 6 replied with proposals. Harlan was astoundingly good. But again, we need more than one make-ready contractor. So what we'll do is we get these segments returned to us from the make-ready survey. We put them out to CLW is still waiting for us to release them work to make sense. I have a couple of crews engaged. We're getting closer to that point. We're still targeting June for that. They are looking at for warehouse space. I don't think they've committed to anything yet. And we're talking to them now with this new MIP work. It's basically ErieNet all over again for 50% more, right? So all these RFPs we've been through for the last year, we're gonna have to rethink how we either extend contracts or do we go back out for new contracts? So
It's complicated because it's almost one and the same project, given the fact that we're extending into communities that we already are going to. So we'll work through that. And we're already starting on that. You know, we're not assuming we're getting the money, but we want to be prepared if and when that comes in so that we're not behind given the time frame.
So that's really, and again, until the city of Buffalo signs off on our agreement, our underground work is stalled. And Missy, when we're talking with our attorneys and their attorneys, I'd like to ask the question again, can they at least review, the city review all our permits that we've got queued up? They can't release those permits.
I
till
think
we
they
have
have
an
been,
agreement.
haven't they?
I think they just
Oh,
Just
okay.
have them in a pot.
Yeah, we can ask that.
So,
We should have asked that yesterday.
Yeah.
Okay.
anything else on design and construction?
Just a general question. Has there been an updated sort of long-term budget? We got the spreadsheets and balance sheets, but I'm just sort of kind of comparing where we thought we'd be versus where we are.
Yeah,
I mean, is that, I don't think I've seen one.
and I'm pressing my financial guys, Andy and Fred Norder, Andy Lukashevis, you all know Andy, the business plan. And Fred is our new CFO. He's quite versatile with the numbers as well.
It would just be helpful to know
Yeah.
as we
Oh,
adjust
absolutely.
things,
And
things have come in more
I've been
expensive. Yeah,
I've been asking for it since the first of the year. I want to see the whole 7-year projection.
Right.
And that's what obviously we need to finish construction. The budget's there for construction. My concern is the gap between when we finish construction and when we've ramped up with enough contracts to be sustainable. Right? So we got to make sure we have the cash to do that.
right,
And,
We update cash flow pretty regularly,
right.
quarterly, but that's a great idea. Hopefully we can have that prepared for the May meeting.
Like I said, I was pressing for it for you and I to look at it first and then
Yeah.
synthesize it. I would think it would be a discussion for finance and audit committee.
And we should do it anyway, given the results of the MIT, and how that changes that as well. So
Right.
we might have to wait on adding that in, but it might be something we should start.
That may, if we're gonna wait for that, then it could be more of a June discussion.
Yeah, I think maybe updating like that long-term plan, whether it's a 4-year plan, 7-year plan, however we wanna do it, doing that like twice a year.
Yeah.
Seems, reasonable, like every 6 months we revisit it and kind of see where things have changed and how that might impact our budgeting going forward.
Well, and the audit and finance committee meets in June again, so that maybe that's the target date we should, and then we could do another revised one in December.
What's the target date?
The June meeting. Because our audit and finance committee will meet prior to that, so it can be reviewed with them first.
Yeah, I mean, keep in mind, some version of a 4-year plan is required with budget report.
Right, yeah, but it's not as detailed as probably what you're asking for right
Sure,
here.
sure, sure.
I would
Right.
imagine.
I suspect.
No, well, you've seen it, yeah, you would know. The 18th, June 18th is the next meeting. Or the June meeting.
We covered the Connect All MIP program in our preliminary award. And we did also with the Senate proposal. We're getting closer to having our lit services plan and budget prepared. Looking to do an RFP to secure those contracts coming forward. Should have some definitive numbers later this week. Fiber management system, we have some preliminary quotes, we're waiting on some competing quotes, and then we'll have to decide whether that has to go as an RFP or do we do it as an RFQ with 5 quotes, kind of depends on the overall dollar amount. Courtney, Missy, and Greg Hooper, our sales exec, evaluating customer resource manager software, and they have a short list that they're working through.
We have one more meeting, yeah.
On the sales side of things, again, we had a great meeting with City of Buffalo. Looks like that's going to finally move forward. University of Buffalo, ECC has our proposals for Missy's review this week. And then, again, we'll be talking specific dollars with the board next board meeting. But this is a multi-million-dollar opportunity for the University of Buffalo. So stay tuned. And they came to us asking for these. So there's a good need there. Again, the Erie County proposal, we really can't update that till we know what's going on with the MIP. Because it'll make you much happier if we can clear the MIP.
It's tentative for the May meeting.
Just as I submit my capital and with all the equipment that I'm gonna have to submit by April, and which could change based upon that.
It's a significant amount.
And we are continuing our push with school districts. There's a meeting with Greg and with Liz's associate, Patrick Doyle. Give Patrick, who's the network services manager for Waymer, an update as to, where ErieNet is. And we talk about, where might we fit best in the Erie County School District. Buffalo City Schools are still threatening to issue the RFP any day now. We're anxious for it. The person responsible for publishing that RFP is still pulling it together. But again, that's 70 plus schools all needing dark fiber connections. Good fertile opportunity for us there. Made great progress reaching out to several internet service providers, broadband providers. There's an interesting group that grew out of Cornell University in Ithaca. They've done some fiber to the home projects in rural communities. And Connect All Office is introducing them to other municipal organizations like ErieNet. So they may very well be a good fit for us, especially if we need an internet service provider that can manage that internet service across ErieNet dark fiber. We need that partner, and they look like they might be a strong one. And they're called Fiber Spark. We met last week with GoNetSpeed. They're owned by the same equity firm as Greenlight.
We haven't.
Yeah, they operate. Greenlight picks their markets and GoNetSpeed picks theirs. They try not to overlap, but they have a strong interest in a couple of our communities that we're going to see if we can work that together into what we call the round 3 program with Connect All, and that's for the ISPs to get grant awards. Again, we want to work with some of these ISPs, encourage them to come into Erie County communities and use ErieNet to help get them to those communities. So, all good news on the broadband side of things for the providers.
All right. You all set? All right, thanks, Matt. I just had 2 more things on my report. Quick financial update on the investments. We had another $2 million due yesterday. We decided to reinvest that again. We're still sitting around, I think, at the end of April, around $900,000 in the bank. We don't anticipate spending $900,000 before May 15th, but another $2 million will come due. But eventually, having some conversations with Andy and Matt, we'll have quite a bit of the make ready start coming in as far as the billing, and we probably will start looking at being a little bit more strategic on what we're pulling out and what we're reinvesting. So stay tuned for that. And I have another exciting announcement to make, and that is Courtney is expecting, and so I just wanted to say congratulations to her. She has a baby due in September, which I keep saying April. That's this month, and it's not happening. It's not till September, but anyway, congratulations. I just wanted everyone on the board. Okay, that's my report.
Okay, thank you, Melissa. Thank you, Matt. Moving along in our agenda here, there are no committee reports, no unfinished business, no new business, so we'll move right into our resolutions. bear with me because these are pretty long. So let's get into it. Our first resolution, 2024-08, a resolution of the ErieNet Local Development Corp. Authorizing the expenditure of additional funds not to exceed $2,805,000. The additional authorized expenditure in furtherance of the completion of certain degrading fiber optic infrastructure construction services related to New York State Gas and Electric, NYSEG, infrastructure, and to the negotiation and execution of amendments to the master services agreement between ErieNet and Northline Utilities LLC, Bayer Power and Communication LLC, Hogland Group LLC, Harlan Electric Company, Inc., Danella Power Services, Inc., and H. Richardson and Sons LLC to increase the allowable expenditures thereunder for the provision make ready fiber optic infrastructure construction services related to the NYSEG infrastructure. May I have a motion? Motion. Second. Second. All right, any discussion?
I think Matt briefly kind of went over that in his, any questions on that?
If no questions, all in favor? Aye. Any abstentions? Anyone opposed? Motion carries. On to the next resolution. Resolution 2024-09, a resolution of the ErieNet Local Development Corp. Authorizing the negotiation and execution of a master services agreement to engage Northline Utilities LLC, Harlan Electric Company, Inc., Hogland Energy Group LLC, Hankels and McCoy, Inc., O'Connell Electric Company, Inc., and H. Richardson and Sons LLC to provide make-ready fiber optic infrastructure construction services related to United Mohawk Power Corp., DBA National Grid, a total amount not to exceed $2.655 million, grid construction. May I have a motion? Motion. Second by Legislator Myers. Any discussion? Questions? All right, hearing none. All in favor? Aye. Any abstentions? Anyone opposed? That motion carries. If nothing else, our next board meeting is May 21st, same place, same time, 2 o'clock here. May I have a motion to adjourn? Seconded by Mr. Keating. All in favor? Aye. All any abstentions? Meeting is adjourned. Thank you, guys.
Hi, everyone. Thank you.
Bye, John.